I don't want to be one of those persons that just came to this earth just to wear Balenciaga and wear Louis Vuitton. In the 7 generations, nobody even knew that I existed.
Let's talk about the Rockefeller Mastermind first. What you were doing then and how we got to transition to Tycoon Capital.
Everything I do, I pretty much want to make it. I want to plant the seed to show people that it's possible. I want our families to be able to say, you know what, we're leaving this, we're leaving this, we're leaving that, and that's proper generational wealth. Like, I want us to be able to leave an inheritance for our children's children. That's what the good book says.
And if someone that you're working with, you know, or doing it on their own, fixes their credit to a nice respectable number like such, what are they actually able to do with it?
I think credit and either a mentor or some level of investment, some type of investment mentor or knowledge should go, it goes together. So imagine how many people during COVID got $100,000 and they don't have any money today.
No,
so
it's
it's
a
not
lot of people.
More money we need. My billionaire mentor, he said, Damont, I've never had a great idea. He said, I'm a billionaire. My family, yes, I was born into wealth, but I've never had a good idea. He said, the only reason that I have became as successful as I am is because I invest in people that have great ideas.
Welcome to another episode of the On the Pursuit podcast. We interview 6, 7, 8-figure entrepreneurs, and we're back in Atlanta. And what's really cool about this episode is I have an opportunity to connect with one of my friends in entrepreneurship, one of my brothers in entrepreneurship. He's doing a lot of amazing things. And he's also in a lot of areas that typically a lot of us aren't really paying attention in. You know, we're not really building opportunities in. So it's really amazing that he's in this space. And not only is he's in it and building, he's teaching so many people, like thousands of people, how they can, navigate in these areas. And a couple of months ago, we had a podcast.
Yeah.
Right. So we was in Houston. We had a podcast, and something happened to the files. You know, so
it's a good podcast.
It was pretty good. Yeah. It was good. It was good. Shout out to my guy studio out that way, LP. And what I said to him was, you know what? How about I fly to whatever city you're at, and we run it back. So
this is gonna be more incredible.
Listen, it's gonna be more incredible. We got a studio audience today, and this individual not only has been through so much and has such a tremendous story, he's building capital and making millionaires. So without further ado, Coach Damont, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
I'm slightly disappointed because I thought you was gonna wear your brand. I feel like every time I see you online, you got the brand on.
I was looking to go in another direction today, but I brought you a few gifts.
Do I got a coach hat?
No, I'm
Come
gonna
on,
send you
man.
Coach hat. But I brought you a Tycoon shirt.
Okay,
some
that's
other
cool.
Things for your Christmas gift, but yes.
What cartoon back in the day used to incorporate the word tycoon? It seems like it's like vaguely coming back to my mind. Does that ring something to you?
You're a little older than me, so I'm not sure. Yeah, I think you are.
I mean, it's possibly, since I've been doing this biohacking, nobody knows how old I am. You know what I mean?
You look good for your age.
I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. So, Tycoon Capital, that's your business.
Tycoon, I'm the CEO of
It's
Tycoon Capital, yes.
Yeah. But prior to that, you and I met, what was it, almost like a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. You had this big event. And what was cool about it is I learned of you through a mutual friend, and he was just like, yo, you gotta come to this event. I want you to speak at it. And I didn't know you at the time, so he was just like, yo, come speak at it. It's in Atlanta. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm gonna pull up. And I was
Rockefeller Mastermind.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I was very impressed. So I was very impressed not only at the information that was there, that was available, the amount of people there, especially learning that was one of your first in-person events, but the production value. I think the production value was top notch. The production value really kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
So it was like a really, really dope event. But tell me, why don't we start there? So the Rockefeller Mastermind, there was no tycoon capital at the time,
Um,
or was it just kind of like slowly developing? It was like
it was
like an
slowly
idea.
developing.
Okay,
Yes.
but I guess what I'm saying, it wasn't
My company at that time was the Tycoon Agency.
it wasn't at the forefront.
It wasn't. Right?
Okay,
I
so
didn't have the relationships and partnerships that I have now.
So let's talk about the Rockefeller Mastermind first. Is your podcast still not monetized? Apple has over 2 million podcasts on their platform, but only 450,000 of them are active. The truth is 90% of podcasts quit before episode 10, and of the remaining podcasts, only half of them really know how to get money. And they rely on brand deals, sponsorships, and a large audience. So if you're really ready to scale your podcast to 100K, click the link below, book a call, and let's see if you're a good fit for the program. What you were doing then and how we got to transition to Tycoon Capital.
Okay. So when I did the Rockefeller Mastermind, which I'm going to do again this year, but when I did the Rockefeller Mastermind, everything I do, I pretty much want to make it, I want to plant the seed to show people that it's possible. Like I want to show them, and that's why I brought in people like you and some other incredible people that came and spoke. Like I just want to show, I want to show people and invite people into rooms that they typically may not have been able to be invited into. So at that time when I was doing Rockefeller Mastermind, I pretty much didn't live in Atlanta at that time, but I lived in Miami and LA, but I wanted to plant some seeds here in Atlanta. So that's a good way to do it. A lot of my mentees flew in and we did a whole weekend of pretty much the Rockefeller blueprint. Pretty much what you should have. Smitty came in, spoke about funding. You came in, had a lot of incredible speakers, and I think it was an incredible weekend. What actually is the Rockefeller blueprint? The Rockefeller blueprint is pretty much you have to start with a structure. So we know of John Rockefeller. More families know of the Rockefeller family and John Rockefeller than they know of their great-great-grandparents. And that is because John Rockefeller built the structure of the Rockefeller family. That's why we know the Rockefeller name. So we don't know a lot about, how he obtained his wealth, but his family does. And they will always know because he built the structure. And so if John Rockefeller didn't have a trust, then second generation, third generation, fourth generation, fifth generation wealth, they could have just blew it off, but because he had that structure, every generation coming after him will know who John Rockefeller was. So I want our families to be the John Rockefellers. I want our families to be able to say, you know what, we're leaving this, we're leaving this, we're leaving that. And that's proper generational wealth versus us saying, we got a Louis Vuitton, a purse, or we got a Mercedes Benz in the driveway, or we live in a house that's really, owned by the bank. Like I want us to be able to leave an inheritance for our children's children. That's what the good book says. So when we're talking about a structure, let's say you got two families, right? Let's say one family's leaving, let's say $10 million. And the other family has that $10 million structured, right? What's the difference between one family that has it structured out, maybe the Rockefeller structure with that seed money, right? And then the other family with no structure but just has the 10 million, let's just say in a bank or a couple of accounts. What's the difference there? Well, statistics say that Black wealth doesn't make it past the second generation. So if it doesn't make it past the second generation, then that's not proper generational wealth. So that means they got to start over again. Yeah. So structure means that I'm able to say, or just say you're able to say, if my child gets married, I want to make sure that my child has $10,000 towards their wedding. But they can't just take the whole family inheritance and go have a great wedding. Or you're able to say, hey, I don't ever want the land in our family ever sold. Or the family house, we want to keep the family house. So if somebody needs to rent it out or Airbnb it or keep it somehow, but it never can be sold. If a person doesn't have a structure, which is a contract, a trust is a contract. So if I create the John Rockefeller contract, that means that no one coming after me can ever change it. So literally from the grave, you're still controlling your family. The family without a structure, then cousin Bobo can come in 2 generations and decide that he wants to invest it in go to Vegas and spend it all and literally lose it, and then that's your whole generational wealth that you thought you were building, but you didn't have a structure. Most people think, oh, I have a life insurance policy. A life insurance policy is not generations of wealth because you're not controlling anything. So I don't know if you watch Power, but Tariq had to go to school in order for him to receive the inheritance that Ghost left him, right? He couldn't receive it if he didn't go to school because he's a trust fund baby. So that's because Ghost left the structure for him to abide by. Then we had people like, Aretha Franklin or Michael Jackson or Whitney Houston or Prince or Bob Marley or, all of those people, Takeoff, like that didn't have those structures. So now it has to go to probate. And then now probate has to determine what's going to happen to that. That means you didn't have a structure. Well, Nipsey Hussle had a structure. So now Puma's paying into Nipsey Hussle's trust fund every single year to his children. So Nipsey Hussle is the John Rockefeller, his family. And 5, 6, 7, 8 generations, his family still gonna know who he is because my billionaire mentor, he said, if you want them to know who you are in 7 generations, you got to leave them something. If you don't leave them nothing, then they're not even going to know who you are. And I don't want to be one of those people that Les Brown talked about when he talked about in the graveyard. There's dreams that were not manifested. There's cures that were not produced. There's all different types of things that didn't happen. I don't want to be one of those persons that just came to this earth just to wear Balenciaga and wear Louis Vuitton and live in a nice house and drive a nice car, and in 7 generations, nobody even knew that I existed.
Yeah. So that was me for sure. Cause like my grandmom, so with my grandmother and my uncle, my great uncle, and maybe my great grandma anyway, but they was in Jersey. When they moved from Jersey to Boston, my grandmother, she was the majority owner. Like they bought a 3-family house, so there was no structure. And you know a little bit of my of my story, but by the time I'm 16, grandmother passed. Mom's died, dad's died. I'm in my 20s, and then my aunt, uncle, great grandmother passed away. So I get the house, and my grandmother left me about $1.50 through life insurance. I didn't have the structure. I didn't mentorship. I didn't have any older relatives. No one had the financial literacy. So to your point, the generational wealth that would have passed on from that generation is lost. It's lost. It's gone. So it's like part of my story now is rebuilding that because I was at a younger age, so I was able to see myself mismanage it, lose it, like be irresponsible. And then now as a mature man, now I'm building loss because now I have the self-awareness, right? But to your point, that's exactly where it is. Because to me, it's like a lot of families, families of color, they may not even have the information. Or they're separated from the information.
Well, I think we're just now getting into a generation where people won't even talk about death or want to talk about organization.
You think that's still the case?
I think we're getting closer to,
you think we're getting closer to having a conversation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think we're getting closer to having a conversation back when, in earlier days, if you talked about that, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, facts.
I ain't speaking that into existence. I don't want to deal with that. And then when somebody dies, then we got to try to figure out, well, what school did they go to? How we gonna write the obituary?
You gotta get the 1,000 GoFundMes, bro.
But in other cultures, they talk about death at dinner.
Yeah.
Well, this is my legacy. This is who is gonna take over. So they're preparing their family for what's going to happen when they go, because we all have to go.
Yeah, and death is just a part of life at the end of the day.
It's a part of life. So they prepare their loved ones for that. So there's no gray areas, so oftentimes in our families, they split after the matriarchs or the pioneers of the family die, because people, I didn't know they was gonna get that lamp. Oh, they got the car. Oh, in other cultures, they're preparing people for, and they put it on paper.
Yeah.
So if it's on paper, then you can't say, oh, well, they didn't want that. You know, Aretha Franklin, she had 7 wills. So her wills were contested because family members said, well, no, the will under the couch was her last will. No, the will that I have is the last will. So a judge had to go and rule on what the family was going to get and how it was going to be split up. So now you're allowing other people into your family business. Now you're having to pay other taxes and things like that. But I have a question for you. I know this isn't my podcast, but I have a question. Go ahead,
bro.
You.
Listen.
So
I mean, you can co-host this joint.
What if your grandmother had a trust, and she had said, hey, I want, she set milestones for you. She said, in order for you to get this, you got to do this. In order for you to get this, you have to take some financial literacy classes. In order for you to get this, then and release this, you have to meet this milestone. So it was not given to you all at one time. It was given to you over time while it was somewhere making money for you.
100%.
Yeah. So Warren Buffett said, if you don't find to make money in your sleep, you go work until you die. So that money was somewhere making money for you while you were growing and while you were getting more wisdom. So what if that had been your story? You would still have the majority. Would still have all of what she left and some.
It would have been all of what she left and some, plus, because you mentioned the financial literacy piece. I don't know if you know this other part of my story. I know this is your podcast, but we still can just throw this in there. You know what I'm saying? So me and a business partner, we had a clothing company, and you know, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with like jogger sweatpants. You know what I'm saying? So basically, jogger sweatpants are sweatpants, and they got the cuff at the bottom, and it allows you. It kind of initiates your footwear. It allows your footwear to pop. Yeah. Right. So 3 black dudes in Boston created that. That was me, my business partner, and then some input for one of the buyers from Karmaloop.
Okay.
So the same thing we talking about, right? Without the absence of information, entrepreneurship, absence of information, mentorship, coaching, some level of structure, right? We didn't even know about mechanical patents. So we couldn't patent that idea because we didn't know that was an idea that we could patent. So yeah, everything with grandma, family structure, and then obviously with your entrepreneurship, which is why I think what you're doing is amazing, because you're coaching and leading and mentoring so many people, and even some of the stuff that we're just talking about right now, it just is really vital. But yeah, if I would have had access to, if she would have set it up and it would have been milestones, not only would I have earned it, I would have appreciated it, and I would have known what to do with it. Right. And I would have been more wise along the way. And then with the clothing side, the same thing. It's like that not only it would have just set me up for the future and the family members, plus I would have had that, that knowledge that would have been bestowed from the family structure.
But with all due respect, grandma did the best she could do with what she had.
No, 100%.
And most people, they don't even get left that.
Facts.
So to know better is to do better. So we're in a day and time, not that grandma lived in, where we have access to more information. We have access to more mentorships. We have access to more data. We have access to more people's story. So for us to put, a guy told me recently in Philly, he said, Coach, the trust is just, he said, I'm going to get it, but the trust is just boring. People, when they think of it, it's boring. But we can't talk about generational wealth without it. Because God forbid, Whitney Houston got in the bathtub and never woke back up. Michael Jackson laid down, went to sleep and never woke back up. Prince got in the elevator to go to the second floor of his house and never got out. So we don't know the day nor the hour when we're gonna go. So if we're trying to make our life make a difference, we have to start leaving the structure for the things that we have, because we don't want more of those stories that you just told.
100%. And not only do we not want more of those stories, like some people may not recover from that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
especially if they're weak and they deal with addictions, whatever those addictions are.
Yeah.
It could take them down a spiral.
Yeah. Or just the embarrassment. Cause I think for about a couple of years, I felt really embarrassed to even share the story. You know what I mean? Cause it's like, I was telling a lie, like, yo, I sold the house. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just so I made me feel better.
Did you feel like that you had disappointed your grandmother?
I feel more so like, Yeah, like I let her down, but I also let myself down.
Yeah.
Cause I remember like I was journaling heavy, like, cause that was like around the time I was fresh out of college. So a lot of things that I was even dealing with was like, you know, healing from the pain of all this loss that I was experiencing, right? So I was like writing in my journals crazy. And I remember when I signed on the mortgage to receive the home, I think that same day I was like, can't lose the house. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can't lose the house. So yeah, I think I carried that burden for a couple of years and stuff like that. But the thing about it, back to your point, it's like people may not recover from that, and we want to make sure those things don't happen. So like even when you talk about the structure in a Rockefeller, one of the other key components of that was, you know, he had that life insurance, which is like, I think you and I talked about a little bit. Like I'm interested in like you know, mergers and acquisitions. One of the things I do want to buy is a life insurance company, even if it's like a, you know, like a starter brokerage, you know what I'm saying? Because they might need that marketing, they may need that exposure, but those life insurance products are very important.
Very.
So you have your trust and you have your life insurance. Those are basically some of the basic pillars that's in that Rockefeller structure.
The pillars,
Yeah.
yes. Not having one without the other.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
So they work together.
Yeah. So talk to me about this debt deletion thing a little bit. Because again, back in the time when you and I first connected, I knew you was doing the trust.
Yeah.
And then you was doing debt deletion. So talk to me a little bit about that.
So debt deletion, well, my background is in credit. So I started doing credit repair when I was 20 years old. This is my 25th anniversary.
Bro, everybody does credit repair.
Yeah. Well, when I started in 2000, everybody didn't do credit repair. So it was only Lexington Law, creditrepair.com.
Yeah.
So now 25 years later, everybody does credit repair. So my billionaire mentor set me down a few years ago and showed me, he's the one who taught me about trust law and equity law and all of those different laws. And he mentored me for a few years and still to this day and showed me how actually his great-great-grandfather was friends with the Rockefellers, you know, so, and the Trump father and all of those things. So he showed me the private structure that those families build on. So he showed me debt deletion because I was doing credit. He told me I was doing credit wrong. He said credit is temporary. Credit repair is temporary. Credit repair, you still could be sued. You still could be garnished. You still the debt. You still owe the debt. So he said, would you want to repair your credit? Would you want to delete the negative things on your credit? So he started educating me on it, and I rolled out a product called debt deletion. So I got it patented. I got it copyrighted. And later turned it to Debt Deletion AI. Did a partnership with some, you know, individuals that were my friends at the time and rolled out Debt Deletion. Thousands of people signed up for it. I wasn't ready. Hadn't been through beta. I understood the process. I just didn't have all of the systems in place to be able to do debt deletion properly. Debt deletion done properly is when you're able to transfer debt over to a trust. You're able to go through the invalidation process. You're able to go through litigation, and that debt becomes deleted after going through the litigation process. So, you know, things happen for a reason. And like you said, I deemed it as failure because I went from doing credit repair to doing debt deletion, which was a new product. Everybody didn't know about it. I had to educate people on it. People signed up for it, but I wasn't equipped to do it. So fast forward, I've helped thousands of people through debt deletion, but there also are people that were either lost in the sauce or they didn't get the best results that they needed. Take in mind, I've been doing credit since I was 20, so I've helped tens of thousands of people get to a 700 or 800 credit score. So what I had to do this year, I retired. So I retired from doing credit. I'm no longer sending any letters. I'm not doing credit, nothing. Like I'm teaching people. I just launched the Debt Deletion Academy. So I'm teaching people how to do debt deletion themselves.
On their own, yeah.
On their own.
Gotcha.
So I have a DIY program, and then I have a program where I give them a VA. So the VA does everything for them and gets them all the way up to the litigation process. And then they go through the litigation process. They already have all of their exhibits, and they're able to now properly, legally go through the debt deletion process in less than 90 days versus depending on myself and I've had shifts of teams. I've had teams come and try to learn what I do. And then now they're doing credit, or now they're doing trust. Like, it's all those types of things that are going on behind the scenes.
That happens.
Yeah, that nobody knew about. So then and then I did a split in a partnership that I had. So there's a lot of things that happen through business. So debt deletion is a great product. And now I'm teaching people how to do it themselves, just like my billionaire mentor showed me, and how to get to an 800 credit score. I want to be known for getting millions of people to an 800 credit score.
What does an 800 credit score do for people though? Because I mean, for some people, there could be some people right now that have an 800 credit score, I have a high 7 credit score that's just chilling with it. So what if you're in position right now, like you listen to podcasts, watching this podcast right now, and maybe you haven't looked at your credit in a minute, or you know that your credit score is good, what can they actually do with it? And if someone that you're working with, or doing it on their own, fixes their credit to a nice respectable number like such, what are they actually able to do with it?
I think that just like we just talked about, life insurance policy and the trust should go hand in hand. I think credit and either a mentor or some level of investment, some type of investment mentor or knowledge should go. It goes together. So one could be dangerous without the other. Mm-hmm. So if I have an 800 credit score and I'm still, robbing Peter to pay Paul, or I'm still struggling, because, I was taught, when we talk about, learning to unlearn and things that we were taught by previous generations taught us and planted seeds into us not to get into debt, not to owe no man nothing, not to, my uncle used to tell me, if you can't pay cash for it, you don't need it. They call that cash and carry. So we were taught by a generation that told us that we shouldn't have credit. We shouldn't do anything that we can't pay cash for. So then I meet a billionaire mentor, and the billionaire mentor says, no, you need relationships. You're trying to do real estate development. You're trying to do all these levels of investing. You're trying to start businesses. You need business credit. You need all these different types of levels of credit. You need to use OPM, other people's money. Yeah. So in order to use OPM, you have to have credit. So those levels are things, again, I would change my mindset. So credit doesn't come with, most people say, oh, I'm going to get credit, now I'm going to go get funding. And then in 6 months, they're coming back saying, hey, can you fix my credit again? You know how many people in 25 years I fixed their credit over 5 or 6 times? Because every 5 years or 4 years, they're back in the same situation. That's because they're taking themselves, just like you taking yourself back into a situation with a woman and y'all having issues every single time. But you thinking that, oh, if I get a new woman, it's going to change. Yeah. Oh, if I go get another woman, it's going to change. No, you're taking yourself. You're the problem. You're taking yourself. You don't have any discipline. You don't know about investing. You don't know about financing. You don't know how to save. You don't know how to do any of those things. But you think that if funding is going to change your life. I don't think funding changes your life. I think the knowledge of knowing how to invest changes your life.
Yeah, so I would agree with that.
Imagine how many people got money during COVID. Money, 6 figures. PPP, all them, SBA. Most people were getting at least $100,000. So imagine how many people during COVID got $100,000 and they don't have any money today.
No,
so it's not more
people.
Money we need. It's not more money. It's a combination of education. It's a combination of finding somebody that can help mentor you and guide you. When you look at the wealthy and the elite, they find people that are qualified in those areas to coach and help them. They have teams that they put together to say counsel. They go seek wise counsel. My billionaire mentor, he said, Damont, I've never had a great idea. He said, I'm a billionaire. My family, yes, I was born into wealth, but I've never had a good idea. He said, the only reason that I have became as successful as I am is because I invest in people that have great ideas. So it doesn't always take the best idea. It takes you being able to be open to say, you know what, I just came, I got $100,000 in my 401k. It's just sitting there. My job is making the money on the 401k. I'm not making anything. And realistically, if I retire, that 401k is not going to hold me for a long time. I'm going to have to go get another job to sustain my lifestyle. So how do I go find somebody that can help me to multiply this 401k, whether it's in real estate, whether it's in stocks, whether it's in whatever types of portfolio that I'm going to build, insurance, so that I can borrow against it, or whatever the case may be. How do I find someone that can help me to take this and make this an exponential investment? Most people don't trust nobody. So if you don't trust nobody, you don't have any financial education, you're not disciplined. The only reason you even have the 401k is because your job took your money from you so that you didn't spend it. Then it's almost impossible to say, if I had an 800 credit score, I can make it $1 million.
That's a fact.
Yeah. So we have to be, I tell my mentees, you have to first be honest with yourself and quit lying to yourself. Quit lying to yourself and saying that more money is going to change your life. No, you have to literally work with what you have and be able to be disciplined with what you have so that God will bless you with more. It's impossible for me to say that more money is going to change my life. I believe that relationships, connections, opportunities can change my life.
But yeah, you got to go back. Well, first of all, man, let me clap it up for that, bro. You went kind of crazy right there. Clap it up for that real quick. They got to do work before that, bro. They got to do that mindset work.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that mindset work.
We talked about that a lot. We talked about
that a lot. We talked about that the other day. Mm-hmm. So the thing about the mindset is, even when you were saying how the previous generation are like, you made that cash and carry reference, right? Yeah. So the previous generations are instilling beliefs into you, and
based upon what they had to work with.
Yes. And then some generations aren't going out seeking new information, so they're still operating on that old iOS, right? Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, the iPhone getting smarter than us, right?
My grandmama told me this. My father did it this way. Right. My uncle did it that way. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, the biggest issue that people are having is the battle within themselves, right? So,
which requires unlearning the old information and relearning new information.
That's true. But the thing that I think is a challenge for a lot of individuals, especially if they're on a journey by themselves, right, is that if I decide that, after this podcast, I want to get some financial literacy. I want to, I'm doing inventory. I want to change some things. Mm-hmm. I want to protect my family. I want to get a structure. We're gonna be talking about all the amazing things you're doing with Tycoon Capital. I want to put myself in position. The issue is, if you've been doing this for like a year and you've been on that journey, let's say you 39 years old, you got 38 years old. You got 38 years of how you've been thinking, how you've been operating. You got all that energy. Let's call it dark energy, just for the sense of dramatic, right?
Yes.
And you got 1 year of the light. So now you battling within yourself when it comes to like habits, disciplines. Do I want to do certain things? Wasting time, self-belief. So it's that internal battle first,
which requires personal development,
which requires a lot of personal development, and it's going to also require you to be in different environments, different situations.
And be open to that.
And be open to it. Yes. So, I coach as well. And that's what I'm noticing the most of. Like, I can give all the strategies.
Oh, yes.
I can say, this is what we doing today.
Yes.
I can say, listen, this is your accountability partner. Mm-hmm. Everything is sound all good when we're in the sessions. Yeah. And then next week come around, and it's no movement, right? So,
and then they'll find a way to make it seem like it's your fault.
No, 100%. 100%. So in those moments, that's real, because I felt like that, right? I remember like there's some times where, because I've had some really big advancements in personal development, right? Mm-hmm. And then I remember there was moments where like I felt like I was stuck again, like at this new level that I couldn't really break through. And then I had to internalize it. And what I realized is like, it's your previous self wanting to stay comfortable, right? Wanting to keep you in a situation, even if it's not the best situation, but it's a comfortable situation because you've been operating in them certain patterns and your subconscious has been moving a certain way. But this new version of you that you're designing, the godlike version, the highest level version of you, is still young. It's kind of like the David and Goliath story, but
Yeah.
you're really battling yourself.
Yes.
So I think that's really the biggest thing. If people can work through their own limitations and free themselves, forgive themselves, raise their level of expectation, then they could get to some of these successes or be more open to receive some help, some support, take a hand.
The first step to
go to that
recover
next
is
step.
admitting that you have a problem.
I mean, yeah, that's true too.
Right. So if a person comes to me and says, Coach, I've seen how you've helped people become a millionaire in 1 year. How can I reach 7 figures in 1 year? And I tell them, you got to start by transforming your mind.
Yeah.
And then they spend 6 weeks with me, and then 7th week they don't want to stay consistent because they say, oh, my struggle is procrastination, or I have trauma, or I have this, or I have that. And I say, well, you found money to buy weed. You found money to do all the things.
But all of that is the previous self. That's the dark self.
That's the previous self.
That's
you found money to do everything that you want to do. But then when I say, well, you got to invest to make some money. Not even in me. You don't have to pay me, but you got to find something to invest in to make more money. Then it's a struggle. So I think that we've come a long way, but we have a long way to go.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
Until you get clear, I had to get clear on my trauma. I had to understand that the fact that I had daddy issues. So if I had daddy issues and then I meet this man, multiple men that wanted to invest in me, not money, but they just wanted to help me. They saw something in me. They saw another level of me that I hadn't seen in myself. But in my mind, I'm saying, what do they want from me? Nah, they gonna hurt me. They gonna leave me like my father. They go abandon me. So that's what I'm saying as the man. I'm not telling them because I'm too strong and I'm too bold to do that, right? But I don't allow myself to get close to these men who could transform my life because I had struggled with forgiving my father. So until I forgave my father, who was no longer even on this earth, my father, I didn't meet my father till I was 15 years old.
Ain't that energy crazy?
I didn't meet my father till I was 15 years old in the mall. And literally I saw, this is what my TED Talk was about, but I didn't meet my father till I was 15 years old in a mall. And literally 5 years after that, my father was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I spent a year going to hospice, bathing my father, wiping my father's behind, clothing my father. And that was the best year of my life. Because I was able to spend time with my father his last days, and I don't regret it. But at the end of the day, when he died, I still had a level of why weren't you there?
No, yeah,
why did you leave me? You never even apologized. You never even brought it up. But I was there for you, and you weren't there for me. You didn't wipe my behind when I was a baby. You didn't bathe me, but I was there for you. So I never told him that out of respect, but that's how I felt. Yeah. So a year later, I meet my billionaire mentor in LA, going at a house in the hills. Somebody brought me to a party. I was sleeping in my car, no whole nother story. But I literally met my billionaire mentor, and he said he saw something in me. And in my mind, when we met at Starbucks, I said, 21-year-old Damont, what does this man want from me? And until I was able to get aligned with the fact that God was blessing me with something that I had never even experienced, which was love from another man who didn't need anything from me. He just wanted to help me. He saw something in me. So until I forgave my father, I couldn't allow this man into my life. So that was trauma. So imagine if I had never forgiven my father. And I said, you know what? I'm not getting close to this man because he may hurt me. Or I'm not getting close to this man for all these different things. Imagine that we wouldn't be sitting here talking. We wouldn't be talking about the thousands of people in my program. We wouldn't be talking about the people that have become debt free, or the people that have 800 credit scores, or the people that have trust, or the thousands of people that walked in the bank last year and got a trust bank account and now are setting up trust funds for their kids, and ladies, single mothers that are in my program that are buying land and they crying and they saying, Coach, I've never had nothing I could leave my kids. She said, I can't leave my kids a house because the bank owns it. I can't leave my kids the car because the bank owns it. But now I got something tangible, a deed to some land that I can leave my kids. So imagine that. If I had to close my mind and my heart and say, you know what, I'm not trusting nobody. I'm gonna allow this trauma from my childhood to keep me where I am. It would have been a lot of things. So when you are able to break free, a lot of that came from me going through working on my mental health, and a lot of that came from me having a mental health coach. But it came with work. I had to work because I knew God created me to be a multimillionaire. I knew God created me to change the world. I'm a world changer. I know that all the things that I've been through were set up for me to help other people. So imagine if I had made the decision to say, I'm not gonna trust any man because I was hurt by my father.
We definitely wouldn't be here. 100%.
We wouldn't be here.
Yeah, and a lot of people's lives wouldn't be affected.
There are a lot of grown people that are still little kids because they're still struggling with the trauma of their past.
But I mean, where are they going for that?
Well, it first starts with, again, the first step to recovery is admitting that you have a problem.
Yeah, that's fact.
So until you admit that you have a problem, and you have a problem to where you say, "Oh, I don't like speaking. I don't like talking." Well, where does that come from? Mm-hmm. I used to be the same way. I feared it because I feared what people thought about me.
Yeah.
I feared the opinions of other people. Now I don't care. So at the end of the day, it came from the trauma of my childhood and the pain and the suicidal thoughts and all of the things that I had bottled up inside of me. And then eventually they just burst out. And when they bursted out, I got into trouble, and I got into this and I got into that. So there's a root to every problem.
Yeah.
And we're in a day and time, and I'm not going deep into this, but we're in a day and time where it's so cool for everybody smoking weed. Everybody smoking weed. Everybody
doing everything right now.
Everybody's doing everything. But at the end of the day, a lot of my mentees tell me, "Oh, it's because I have anxiety. I have this." So there's a root for everything. Whatever your vice is, there's a root if you have to do it, whether it's smoking weed, whether it's sex, whether it's alcohol, whatever the case may be, whether it's shopping, whether it's eating, all of those are vices. So there is a root to it. So we have to, personal development, I'm with a personal development coach right now who is helping me. And in order for me to be the best mentor and coach, I have to work on being the best myself. I said, I want to be a 9-figure earner. He said, you want to be a 9-figure earner, you can't use the same blueprint that you use to make 6, 7, or 8 figures. You can't do it. So you have to change. Literally, you have to change on every level, which means that you have to be okay. Like you just said, the previous you had to let go of some things to get to.
You got to kill it
on every level.
You got to kill it.
Yeah, on every level. If I want to be a billionaire, I have to change the $100,000 or the $1 million Damont. There's some things that I gotta move around. I can't live the same way. I can't have the same mindset. I have to go higher. I can't hang around the same people. I can't have the same conversations. I can't. So because I have the same day and I have the same time in the day as my billionaire mentor. He said, Damont, if you want to be like me, he said, literally, you have to unlearn everything that you have ever learned from your family. So imagine about finance. He said, yes, your grandmother raised you to be respectful. Yes, your mother raised you to be nice and all of those different things. And they planted a lot of great values in you, but you need more than values. You need to understand finance. You need to understand money. Mm-hmm. You need to understand the system of business. He said, in order for you to be a billionaire like me, you're going to have to unlearn all that outdated information. And you're going to have to be open to personal development, to finance, to understanding that you got to trust people, because yes, you have trauma, but you're going to have to trust some people, not some men, some women, whoever God sends into your life. Yes, there may be some people that hurt you, Damont, but you got to deal with it, and you got to keep moving forward. Yes, there are going to be some people that use you as you go higher. He said, but you got to be willing to move forward. So I want to be a billionaire. I believe that God created me to be the lender and not the borrower. He created me to leave an inheritance for my children and my children's children. In order to do that, I have to have a structure.
Yeah, facts. I like how you brought it back to a structure.
Yes.
You know, I like that a lot. That was cool. Did you bring me a structure? Y'all got a structure?
You have to have a structure, B.
Yeah. No. I mean, listen. You helped me set up that first trust. Now we just gotta take it to that next level, because I got it. You know, but I got it. You have to be open to mentorship too. So you have to show up. So you were showing up consistently. Now you got to show back up. Yeah.
So that you can, because it's one thing to say I have it, but it's another thing to know how to use it. So I could go get you a Bugatti right now. But it's another thing. It's go sit in the driveway until you learn how to use it, learn how to drive it, learn how to the mechanisms of it, learn how to get it maintenance. So that you have to know how to do that. Michael Jackson had a trust, but he never funded it because he thought he was gonna live longer.
Yeah.
So his estate still had to go through probate because nothing was never in it. So it's one thing to say I have a trust. It's another thing to say I have a full structure, which is the Rockefeller structure.
Yeah, I like that. So now we on the Tycoon Capital. So last time you and I were really connecting, you was in Vegas and you was helping a lot of people get access to land, and y'all was doing some robotic building and stuff like that.
Tycoon Weekend.
Yeah. So break down Tycoon Weekend. Let's talk a little bit about Tycoon Capital. What were you doing in Vegas and what's going on now?
So Vegas was, again, I told you I always do things because I want to plant seeds into people to show them where they could be. So a lot of my mentees came from all over. I had mentees that drove all the way from the East Coast. Some of them flew. However they got there, they brought their families. Many of them, we participated in the auction in Nye County. Pahrump is the name of the city right outside of Vegas. So many of them were able to come and see their land for the first time. Many of them were able to come and experience other people seeing their land for the first time because we bought it in the tax auction. So those are moments that I cherish because there are people that are now able to see life from another lens. So a lot of times you can't see life from another lens because you've never seen it. So it's one thing for me to say, oh, yes, you can attain this, or you can do it, or you need a structure. But if you've never seen it, you've never seen the structure, then it's, yeah, you just saying it, but I don't understand it. We know to get up and brush our teeth and wash our face because that's what we've done since we were kids. So when you tell somebody, no, get up and speak your affirmations, and then you meditate, and then you pray, and then you do all these different things, taking your mind, preparing your life for a new day, that it takes time to get into that because you used to getting up, brushing your teeth, washing your face. So it's the same with this type of thing. So Tycoon Weekend was a weekend that I put together to remind my mentees of their achievements. And in my community, it's not just about one person winning, it's about everybody winning. So we support each other. So we did Vegas. We had a suite for the Chris Brown concert. We had a lot of things that a full weekend that we did, and it was a great weekend.
Yeah, I was following it from the story, and I seen a lot of people happy.
Yes,
I seen a lot. I seen the shirts. Everybody was branded down with the Tycoon. You know what I mean? They had their deeds up with it. The deeds up.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it was just a really good environment with a lot of energy. You know what I mean? It almost gave you like FOMO, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You see this big group of people of color, all branded up, all together, like all positive, all excited, with land ownership. And then you were talking about like how they could build on it using robotics.
Yes.
So what's that about?
So we came together, Tycoon Capital, and I've been blessed. I started doing real estate when I was 20. I flipped over 100 houses in Indianapolis, and my dream as a kid had always been I wanted to be an architect. I always have been infatuated with houses and buildings, and now I have the opportunity to one of my mentees introduced me to someone that builds robots, and he said, "Coach, you got to meet this guy." So I flew out with my team and my mentor, and we flew out and met, and I had the opportunity of purchasing the first 3D printer. Not the first in the United States, but I'm the first Black robotic developer to own a 3D printer. A 3D printer, it allows you to be able to build houses much more rapidly. So it's a robot that builds houses with a mixture called hempcrete. So it's mold proof. It's termite proof. It's fire proof because concrete doesn't burn. So there's lots of benefits in it. Even as far as the hemp absorbs carbon monoxide. Like the houses that you and I grew up in, we're able to inhale. That's why people have carbon monoxide detectors.
Yeah.
Yes, well, the hemp absorbs it. So there's lots of benefits to it. On top of, we've been meeting with a lot of um, affordable housing and mayors and people, land banks, to talk about ways that we can develop this land for my mind just went blank.
What are you developing the land for?
For veterans.
There you go. For the VA.
For veterans
All
and
right.
for homeless people. And I met with a big car company that's building a lot of houses in Savannah, Georgia, and they want to do a workforce development community. So it's lots of opportunities out there for housing. So for us to be able to build it for $67 a square foot, let me say that again. $67 a square foot is impeccable, because now we're able to beat other people's costs, and that's why I'm spending a lot of time teaching people how to purchase land. We own and control over 7,000 acres of land. So imagine how many families have inherited land. They have what's called it's land that's passed down from the next generation. So like if you had cousins or aunties, like all of you will receive like part of that land. Mm-hmm. So they took a lot of land from our farmers, but there's still a lot of families. Like a family in my community just said, "Hey, coach, I got 120 acres of land." On the way here, one of my mentees, she said, "Hey, coach, I got 87 acres of land in California. You can I'm willing to partner with y'all on it." So people have land that they can't develop, and for us to be able to literally come in and build a house in less than 7 days fully, and with only 3 people. We don't use drywall, we don't use wood, we don't use lumber, we don't use any of those things, and we're able, literally, as you're printing the house, you're putting in the electricity, and then you're literally putting in the windows and the doors, and now it's an incredible thing, man. I'm telling you. So again, it's something that I've always wanted to do. Never thought that it would be on the fact of a robot doing it. We build inside of a tent. So we're able to print 24 hours a day. It doesn't matter how cold, how hot, if it's 25 inches of snow, it doesn't matter. Like, you from Boston, we could build 365 days in Boston. So there's lots of opportunities for housing and for development by doing the 3D printing. So where we are at the stage now is pretty much my team is on board. I partnered with Walker Construction Company out of New Orleans. Joe Walker, shout out to Joe Walker. He's our general contractor. He's getting set up in all different states, and literally we're getting in position for our team to convert over to fully being knowledgeable in this robotic construction, on top of pulling permits and working on getting the approvals in order for us to be able to build.
How long does it take you to? I mean, I know you mentioned like 7 days to build a home
from start to finish.
Yeah, build a home, but like, how long did it take you to move the robot over?
Oh, it takes about 39 minutes to break it to build it up.
Okay, so you got to put it together and then dismantle it.
You got to set it up. It's on what's called a gantry system.
Okay.
So you see, like, it's like a 4
you have to just send the video, bro.
Yeah, 4 posts, and we put it up, and literally takes about 2 or 3 people to set it up, and then literally to move it over. It's better to do it in where you can just move it from lot to lot, but we could break it down, set it up in a short amount of time.
So far we touched on like the Rockefeller structure, having the trust. We talked a little bit about the importance of life insurance. You said that you're retiring from credit repair.
I've retired.
Right? Yeah, right.
I officially launched Debt Deletion Academy. So I teach people how to do it themselves, or I give them a virtual assistant to help them do it.
And then now, obviously, with their being able to teach people how they may have some land in their family that they don't know about, or acquiring land, and then once you have the land, being able to partner on it or build on that land.
Yes.
You're doing a lot of teaching, a lot of education. But there's something I want to ask you. Like, I think there's a lot of people in this like that would be in your position would be doing a lot of monetization on the education piece. But you're doing something that's tremendously interesting, which is like, you know, you're giving away some grants, you're giving away some scholarships, and you're actually giving over $15,000 of value in a grant or sponsorship to put people in position to get access to this information so they can learn. So why would you do something like that when we're in the education age, the information age? You got coaches, mentors, entrepreneurs charging $5K, $10K, $20K, $50K, $100K, you know, to get access to information and to learn. Why would you now go in a total other direction and just give away these grants and these scholarships so people can learn for free?
So I've had two near-death experiences. When I was 20, I was shot at a nightclub. The bullet went down came in my mouth, went down my throat, came out the back of my neck. This is a metal plate right here. The bullet wasn't meant for me. It was just a straight bullet. I was leaving the nightclub, walking to my car, straight bullet hit me in my cheek, and literally I had to learn how to walk again. I was leaving a club called the Mecca. 17 years later, on the same exact day, I was shot again 7 times.
What date is that, bro?
It's December the 27th.
I'm glad that date that's over already.
But that's with Les Brown. So I told Les Brown this story. I told Les Brown
12/22? That's crazy.
I told Les Brown this story. He said, I'm not going to call you Damont anymore. I'm going to just call you the Miracle Child. He said, but tell me that date again.
Exactly.
He said, make sure I'm not with you on that date.
Facts.
But that date is, I got shot on Martin Luther King Boulevard. And that's a day that God showed me that he had great things in store for me. So those two near-death experiences, on top of me, you know, making some bad decisions when I was younger and having to go to prison and God rebuilding me and showing me my life, me being able to give back and me being able to, like I told you earlier, I want people to see the experiences of me sitting at the table, my billionaire mentor's house, and I'm sitting with billionaires and multimillionaires, and I'm the only black man at the table. I want people to feel that. Me being able to go on a yacht, and a lot of my friends never even been on a yacht.
You know, in Miami, they can go on a yacht pretty cheap.
Exactly.
Listen, you come to Miami, go on a yacht pretty.
Where I'm from, people don't leave Marion County, so let alone go to Dade County. You know, so
I got you.
So being able to open people up to those experiences, I think those experiences is what takes the limitations off some people's mind, believing that it's possible. So I want people to understand that it's possible. So I give away. This year I've dedicated to giving away over $10 million in scholarships to my Tycoon School of Entrepreneurs and to my Rockefeller mentorship. So I give away to people that qualify. I give them a $17,900 grant to my mentorship. It's called the Rockefeller Mentorship, where they're able to learn the structure, where they're able to be mentored. Typically, I mean, people do pay me tens of thousands of dollars to mentor them, but I wanted to be able to give it to people that couldn't normally afford it. And I want to help people get to 800 credit score. I want to show them the benefits of having land and partnering and literally learning how to get into the real estate industry. Most people want to do what's trendy. Truck driving was trendy. Airbnbs was trendy. I had Airbnbs. I made over $1 million in Airbnbs. Toro, trendy. So I don't want to do what's trendy. Credit repair, trendy. I don't want to do trendy things. I want to do things that are on the path of us being the most valuable asset at the table. My billionaire mentor, he said, if you want to make a lot of money, you got to make sure that at every table, you're the most valuable asset, meaning that you have more knowledge than anyone at that table about what you're talking about. That's why I have yet to meet anybody in my industry that can outperform me or out-talk me on a trust. I know trust law, you know, so when people say, well, you know, I say, how many books have you read? Well, I ain't really read nothing. How many podcasts have you listened to? So you can't, whatever that one thing is, you got to master that one thing.
Facts.
You know, but we cannot talk about wealth without talking about investing. So we have to talk about investing, because investing is not having a 401k or not having, some money in the S&P 500. Now, that is a part of it, but you need to understand how to build a portfolio, how to structure it, all of those things. So I wanted to be able to give people those opportunities. So I have some of my mentees. We just did a project. We did legacy letters. So I had them write. I learned this from my billionaire mentor. So they have letters from their grandparents and from their great grandparents that were written to them. And imagine you having a letter from your grandmother and you being able to pick that letter up right now, and it was written to you. And it's there to encourage you. It's there to motivate you. It's there to tell you maybe some of her recipes or some of the sayings or some of the traditions. It's literally written directly to you. So we wrote legacy letters. That was the most emotional class ever that I've done. And many people read letters to their children and to their grandchildren and to their sons and their daughters. Some of them who may not be on the right path right now, but they wrote their legacy letter as if they were talking to them from the grave. And that was one of the most incredible classes that I've ever done. How
would someone qualify for one of these scholarships and mentorships?
So they pretty much go to tycoongrant.com and fill out an application, and we look at all the applications, and you pretty much in one of the questions is, why should you be picked for this opportunity? It's a 1-year opportunity. It's up to you to take that opportunity. Now, after 1 year, if you get to the finish line, you say you haven't gotten any better, or you're still where you are, then mentorship, it's not mentorship that you need. It's not, I don't know, maybe
you need that mindset.
You need something.
You need that mindset.
Yes. Yeah. But we do a lot of mindset stuff. I bring a lot of my friends. I have some incredible friends. You're one of them. You're speaking tonight. I bring a lot of my friends to come in and teach them different tools and values that you have a mentorship, you charge for it. Yeah. I have all my friends charge big money for their stuff. I bring them in to train them. Last night we had a class about how to start a event space. One of my mentees, she's built a 7-figure event space, and she dedicated it to me because of what she's learned from me by building business credit and things like that. So I think that being able to expose people to other people that are where they
aspire
to be, but was once where they were, is more valuable. So I love my Rockefeller mentorship, and my Tycoon School of Entrepreneurs is my purpose. So to answer your question, the things that I've been through, I owed it to God for leaving me here to be able to give back. And when my billionaire mentor, when we sat down initially at Starbucks, and he started teaching me these things about what the traditions of his family and the culture of his family and the structure of his family, he made me promise that I would teach other people. So that's why I've dedicated my life to teaching other people about a trust, about structure, about credit, about private capital. That's pretty much what Tycoon Capital is. We lend out private capital to people that might not qualify because they don't have financials. They don't have the best credit. They don't have nothing but a plan. And that's what private capital is. So when you start talking about venture capitalists and hedge funds, I teach a lot about that because I have a lot of great relationships with hedge funds. Hedge funds is way better than going inside Chase Bank or Wells Fargo or Bank of America. Like, it's relationship based. They buy into what you're selling them as far. They just want to make money. So I partner with a Deca hedge fund, and they literally back. They've given me an unlimited amount of capital to back our financial endeavors as far as land flipping. So I also have another program, which is the Real Estate Tycoons, where we teach people how to land flip. It's called Wi-Fi Real Estate. So I show them how to flip land. I did it for the last 12 months, and I made over $1.1 million and never left my house. So I teach my mentees how to do it by leveraging hedge fund money, private capital. So we give them the money to close on those deals.
Who would be ideal to be mentored by you, be coached by you? Because, they can go to tycoongrant.com, they can fill out the application, they could be selected. But what does the mindset of someone that would be ripe to come into this type of information and be successful, whether it be with all of the different pillars or at least one of them?
I think people I would hope that I attract people because I have some incredible people in my community. I attract people like me. So I would say a person like me would be a person that I have 3 felonies. I've been in trouble. I've never had a job. I've been on my deathbed twice. I went from just year before last when I went through that split in my business. I went down to a 400. Now I'm back at an 800. So somebody that's relentless, somebody that has a story, somebody.
That's what the shirt should really say, not Balenciaga. It should say relentless all over it. You know, we might have to make that adjustment.
Just you could Photoshop
it. We AI that out.
You could Photoshop it. So somebody that's relentless, somebody that doesn't use their past as a crutch on why they can't move forward, somebody that's okay with failure and understands that failure is a part of the process. When you start looking at people, I had to go and look at people, highly successful people, and understand Colonel Sanders, his recipe was denied over 5,100 times before somebody accepted. Now everybody, I don't know anybody that hasn't been to KFC. So imagine being told no 5,100 times. The average person can't be told no 5,100 times.
The average person can't be told no one time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So those are the people I want. I want the people that's willing to say, you know what, no matter what it takes to be the first millionaire in my family, that's what I want to do. No matter what it takes for me to own land, that's what I want. No matter what it takes for me to have an 800 credit score, I'm going to do the work. No matter what it takes for me to be able to be the generational wealth builder and the curse breaker in my family, that's what I'm going to do. That's the type of people that I have in my program.
So I had a question about that date in December. Since you had 2 experiences back-to-back years, do you feel like you suffer from some type of like fear or like mentally you felt kind of low, or like when that date comes around you feel a certain type of way? Did that follow you for a little bit? You know what I'm saying? Like that 12/22? Because like if you get shot
12/27.
My fault, 12/27.
Yeah.
So if you get shot on 12/27 and then you recover, and then the following year, you get shot. Not just in general, but you on the same exact day. Is this trauma, residual trauma that followed a couple of years
That's
from that
a very
particular
good
day?
question. That's a very
And
good
do you
question.
still think about it now, at all, when that day comes around?
Yes, but not as bad. So because again, forgiveness was a part of it. So I'll go into that. But we do the tycoon prayer every morning, and so this year, the 27th, we was on the tycoon prayer. I prayed. Other people pray as well, but I prayed, and I literally was liberated from it. And I prayed. I showed the video because that specific day, my mother had sent me a video of a speech that Martin Luther King did. It was about your life's blueprint. So I did a seminar that evening, and that's when I got shot leaving that seminar on Martin Luther King Boulevard. So I spoke on the prayer, and it literally liberated me from that. This past year, prior to that, the trauma of it, yes, and still to this day, I have not been able to. If I go back home, I can't go back. I can't go down that street. I was just talking to my mother last week. I went back home, and she was like, "Where you at?" I said, "I can't. I got to turn." She said, "Oh, you must be over Martin Luther King." I said, "Yes." So I can't go down that street just yet, but I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get there.
Yeah.
But I had to. The steps that I had to take in the last year was the person that I know that shot me. They're not in jail for shooting me. They're in jail for another situation, that they got in trouble for pertaining to drugs. I can't pinpoint that they shot me, but I almost believe it. And that person, I had to forgive. So I wrote them a letter. And I sent it to them. And then I had to pray for them. And then I had to do some things on the personal side to literally liberate myself, which has helped me. But it's a process. So trauma and PTSD, all of those things are a part of anyone's process. But that's why I have professional help to help me with it, because I don't want to have malice. I don't want to live in fear. I jumped out of a plane last year for my birthday. I don't want to live in fear. I don't want to have malice. And oftentimes it may not be towards that person necessarily, because you can't access that person, but I don't want you to feel like, oh, Coach Damont is kind of, or somebody does something to me. Like, people have done a lot of hurtful things to me, even on social media. And I don't want to be the person that lashes back because I have trauma. I don't want to lash back. I just want to love. So those are things that I have to personally deal with, because I'm a leader, and people follow me. And because people follow me, I have to carry myself in a different way. So I had to forgive that person. Just like I had to forgive my father in order to open the door for all of my mentors, as I had to forgive that person that shot me, because maybe they were dealing with some trauma themselves. I don't know. But I had to forgive that person in order for me to be liberated, because I don't want to live to where I'm scared of a day. Yeah. So facts. A lady told me that I was cursed right after I got shot. I lived in Vegas at the time. A lady told me that I was cursed. And it literally, for a few years, it traumatized me, because I really thought that, initially I thought, well, God loves me. So he protected me, and he has great things in store for me. And I got shot on Martin Luther King because he's building me up to be a great leader and to be known by generations to come. That's what I told myself after it happened. And then I meet this lady who was prophetic, and what she said, she was prophetic, and she had something that she wanted to speak into my life. And she told me that I was cursed. And that's the reason why I got shot on the 27th on both times. And my life was not going to be that great, and all of those things. And it was a very hurtful thing. And it started sticking with me. So every year that would go through my mind. The lady said I was cursed. And then I met another person, and that person told me that, he said, Damont, you're not cursed. He said, Damont, like, how many people can go through what you've been through and still be able to hold your head up and still be able to be a leader, like, and still be able to build people. So, and then he started showing me scriptures and showing me how I wasn't cursed, because I really was like, because it felt like every time I would take 2 steps forward, I would take 3 steps back. Like, because it wasn't no longer about money. I became a millionaire at 24. So it wasn't money anymore that I was seeking. I was seeking the fact that I thought that people respected me as a leader. I thought I was motivating people. But in reality, my cousin brought this to my attention. He said, Damont, he said, you are online and you motivating people, you're doing all these conferences, you touring, you're doing all these things. He said, but in reality, there are some people that are envious of you.
Yeah, that's a fact.
So I know you would like to think that you motivate, and you do. You motivate some people, but there are some people that, because you came from where they came from, and now you at the awards, or you came from where they came from, and now you sitting at tables in billionaires' houses, or you came from where they came from, and they don't have the peace that you have. Maybe, but that's their own. We have people that are walking inside schools killing kids. We have people that are driving down,
blowing up Teslas.
We have people that are driving down Bourbon Street and killing people. There are people that mentally are not there. So you cannot try to lower your life or your mission in life because other people have hate in their heart. So that's why I always reflect to Martin Luther King. So it doesn't matter what people do to me. I'm still gonna love them. I'm still gonna pray for them. And yeah, so that's my journey.
I don't know about you, bro, but I think this is better than Houston, bro.
You think so?
What you think?
Well, I've been through a little bit more in life since Houston.
Nah. I think this was definitely better than Houston, because I feel like, it was way more intentional. I think, you touched on a lot of, listen, if you're watching or listening to this, you made it to the end, you really caught a lot of, I feel like, life-changing information. Yeah. And there was just moments of just, different impact. And I feel like anyone that's listening and watching could take something from this.
I pray so.
You know what I'm saying? This is for somebody for real, right? Yes. But before we get out of here, man, is there anything else specifically you want to make sure people leave with, or they know about what you have in store for this next season? And then the other question, or the final question I have for you, is if you have to lay out like a 4-point or 5-point blueprint for people to take advantage of in this season, what would that be?
All right, let's start with, I'm old, so let's start with the first one.
All right, let's go.
The first one was, what's the first one?
The first, is there anything else you want to share with the people that you feel like they want to leave here with?
Anything else? No, I think we've covered a lot.
I mean, we can go back. I mean, listen, it's a whole nother hour. We can talk about the story, but
we covered a lot. I think that anyone watching this, hopefully they're inspired to look at this situation and understand that anything is possible. And that no matter where you came from, you shared your story, I've shared my story. No matter where you've come from, you can have a pursuit to be happy. You can have a pursuit to build not just wealth, but physical health. Recently, I had a scare with my health. They told me that I long story, but anyway, I had to go to the hospital because I have high blood pressure.
Calm down, Damont.
It's easier said than done. I never been sick or nothing. But I had to look at life from another lens. I didn't even have a primary care doctor. I was a millionaire and didn't even have a health insurance, because I had never been sick.
Yeah.
So now my stance is, look, health is wealth.
No, it is.
Yes, health is wealth. You need a primary care doctor.
We were talking about biohacking before you got up in here. Listen, I'm an advocate.
Yeah. So I'm looking at life from another lens because I'm a workaholic. I just want to build people and help people and guide people. And I've been building this 3D printing and Wi-Fi real estate and Rockefeller, all that stuff. And looked up one day and I was at my office and I couldn't even see. Like I was just blind, like my blood. And I didn't realize it when I got to the hospital. Had on one of my shirts, and the one that says Gucci, Louis Vuitton, cuss you, and they lines through it. And the man said, "What do you do?" I said, "I'm a wealth coach. Like I help build people up." And he said, "Well, you can't build nobody up if you ain't here." Facts. He said, "You can have all the money in the world and have bad health, and you're not gonna be here to spend it." And it literally, you could have bought me with a quarter, because it was like an aha moment for me, Damont. You've been talking about all these levels of things, but you've been missing out on, like you just said, the mindset part and also the health element of it, to where you telling people they can get life insurance policies, but they need health. They need health insurance too. You need a primary care doctor. You need all these different things. You need to have these certain tests done so that you can do what's called preventative maintenance. So that's been my stance, man. So I got my community. We're doing a challenge right now.
I like it.
So I'm excited about it, but I have to lead by example. And if I was to share anything with anybody closing, I would say that if God could create me a person who grew up as a kid not feeling love, not saying I wasn't loved, but I just didn't feel loved, and I was a very angry young man because I didn't feel like anybody understood me. I always felt like I was like the black sheep. I didn't feel like that I had guidance. I didn't feel like that I had a mentor or a father figure. So then every time I got close to somebody, then they died or they left me. My pastor was a father figure, then he died, So all of these things, it just seems like the odds were like stacked up against me and I could never win. So anybody that's watching this that feels like my finances, I can't win. My life, I can't win. I don't know my purpose. I want to be in real estate, but I can barely do what I'm doing. I want to have great credit, but I could barely do what I'm doing. I want to be closer to God, or I want to be an investor, or I want to change people's lives. I want to change my family's life. I see something more. I feel like I could be the first millionaire in my family and not the last, but I just don't know how. So I'm going to just say, find you a coach or a mentor that you trust, and find you somebody that can help you go to the next level. You may have to test some people out, but find you somebody that can help you, because a coach or a mentor is where you want to be in 10 to 12 years.
I like that, man. I think that's a good way to end it. I would say, because obviously I was going to ask you, like, what are a couple things? I think definitely finding yourself a coach or a mentor, someone that can guide you, someone that you can trust, taking that self-accountability so you know your weak spot, your blind spot, so you know what to really focus on, so they're no longer your weak spots and your blind spots. And then
then apply for a grant for my school.
Well, that's what I mean, listen, you beat me to it. So where they need to go to get that again?
So you're gonna go to tycoongrant.com, TYCOON grant grant.com. Fill out the application. Somebody from my team will reach out to you if you qualify, and you get right in, jump right in, start learning. Teach the ABCs of trust, the ABCs of credit, the ABCs of funding. There's lots of different opportunities. You can sign up and for whatever your pace is, but the ultimate goal is that you start learning how to develop your personal development in your mind and making connections, because it's a network of I have a huge network of people in my community. So I have people that are partnering together. I have people that are buying land together that they've never even met. Just through online, being a part of the community. I have people that are supporting each other and coming to the prayer groups, all those types of things. So I have a lot of great things happening. So sign up for tycoongrant.com and you'll be able to be invited to see what other opportunities are available.
Man, thanks for being here again.
Thanks for having me.
I'm glad that we had the opportunity to do it again. I definitely feel like this was better than the last time. Last time was fire, but I feel like this time was definitely, right on time. Make sure you guys go to tycoongrant.com. Appreciate you guys for checking out another episode of the podcast. That's Coach Damont. I'm Brendan. We'll see you on another one. Is your podcast still not monetized? Apple has over 2 million podcasts on their platform, but only 450,000 of them are active. The truth is 90% of podcasters quit before episode 10, and of the remaining podcasters, only half of them really know how to get money. And they rely on brand deals, sponsorships, and a large audience. So if you're really ready to scale your podcast to 100K, click the link below, book a call, and let's see if you're a good fit for the program.